Salvete omnes, and welcome in to another edition of Veritas Latin Review. In today's episode, I'll be reviewing Exercitium Quintum. Join me. Hello and welcome in. As you know, this exercise was not mandatory, but it was given to you as a helpful guide as you're preparing for your retake, perhaps, of our most recent quiz on the present tense verb endings. So let's jump into this exercise. Remember, first of all, that we're trying to use the context to help us, because if we know what the subject is, and if we know who the subject is speaking towards, or whether the subject is speaking for his or herself, that will be invaluable information in helping us discover what the person and number of the verb is, whether it's first, second, or third person, and singular or plural. So number one, Julius, tu ne pecuniam meam habes, dawe? And here it's habes, right? Because he's addressing Davos, and he's saying, "Oh, Dawe, do you have my money? Tu ne habes pecuniam meam?" And Davos responds, "Ego pecuniam tuam non habeo, domine." And here, Davos is speaking for himself, so he's speaking in first person. And you see the ego indicating that. "I do not have your money, O master." And then he says, "Vide," this is Davos still speaking, "in mensa saculum meum pono." So I'm putting my money pouch on the table. Et vacuus est. It's empty. And Julius replies, "Ergo, quis pecuniam meum habet?" And here the context is key, because we know that Davos doesn't have the money, so Julius is asking, who has my money? And that's a third person question. He's saying, quis, who has my money? So it should be habet. Davus tacet. And here it's tacet. And you can always tell in narration when the narrator is telling us some event that transpires, it's usually third person. If they're quoting directly, then it might be second person or first person. But if it's just narration, it's third person. Because here Davos is the subject, and it's saying he is silent. He tacet. Number two. Oh, pardon me. Aemilia, quid agitis ancillae? Quid agitis ancillae? Nonne auditis? Quod dico. And so here, you might have been tempted to put quid agis, but it's actually quid agitis, because she's addressing the ancillae, which is plural. And so she's saying, don't you hear, nonne auditis, id quod ego dico? Don't you hear what I say? And this is one that might have been tricky, because you may have been wondering, how do I know it's dico? And the answer is context, right? Because it would not quite make sense for her to be speaking to the ancillae this way if she were asking the question, don't you hear what y'all are saying? But instead she's saying, what are you doing? Don't you all hear quod dico, what I am saying? Pueros quaerite, look for the boys. And the ancillae respond, Marcum quintumque quaerimus. We are searching for Marcum et Quintum. Eos vocamus, right? We call them neque respondent. And here, it's a respondent because it's Marcus and Quintus who are not responding to the calls of the ancillae. So you're saying, we call them, we search for them, they don't respond. Respondent is third person, therefore. Quintus replies, new number. Quintus asks, Cur Juliam pulsas Marce? He's asking in second person because he's saying, why do you, Marcus, punch Juliam? And Marcus replies, eam pulso, right? I punch her. Quia cantat. I punch her because she sings. It wouldn't make sense if we put quod canto, because then that would be saying, I punch her because I sing, which makes no sense. So to make the sentence have meaning, we need to put it in third person. Marcus says, I punch her because she sings, cantat. Quintus, nonne patrum times, don't you fear, father? Marcus, pater abest, ergo eum non timeo. Eum non timeo. Bene. Number 4. Servi lecticam vehunt. In qua dominus est. Julius. Quid consistitis servi? And he's saying, why do you all stop, O servants? Servi, fessi sumus, domine, neque lecticam portare possumus. Cirrus quoque et Leander, qui sacos portant, fessi sunt. Number 5. Julius ad vilam advenit, et Juliam plorantem audit. Julius, cur ploras mea Lydia? Lydia. Ploro, quod Marcus me ridet et pulsat. Julius, quid? Marcus te pulsare audet? And this is a tricky one, because you might have been thinking that it was audes, but here Julius is saying, what? Marcus dares to punch you? So the te here is not tu. If it were tu, you might be onto the right track in putting audes with an S in second person. But here Marcus is actually the subject and te is the object. It's accusative, saying, what? Marcus dares to punch you? And so that's why this one's third person. Number 6. Julius Aemiliam, quit his talk. Bene. Julius Aemiliam salutat. Quae ei osculum dat. Julius. Quid agunt pueri Aemilia? And this one almost tripped me up, because he's asking what the boys are doing. He's not asking what Amelia is doing. So he's not saying quid agis Amelia, which would be asking what are you doing, but he's saying quid agunt pueri Amelia. What are the boys doing? So it's third person, agunt. Amelia, ancillae eos quaerunt. Julius, liberos vocat, qui ad eum curunt. So Julius calls the children who run to him. Julius, quid facitis pueri? What are you doing, pueri? Pueri, nidos in horto quaerimus, pater. We are searching for nests in the garden, father. Julius, tantum nidos quaeritis? Quintus, etiam pila ludimus, pater. We're also playing with the ball. Julius, tu quoque pila ludis? Marce? Marcus nihil respondet. Cur taces Marce? Marcus, ego pila non ludo, quia id me non delectat. So maybe in retrospect, we could say that Quintus replies only for himself. Maybe he says, I also play ball, father, in this blank here, because we learned just a little bit later that Quintus is actually not playing with the ball. But perhaps Quintus replies for both of them and says, we are playing with the ball. Number 8, Julius. Ergo cur Juliam verberas, Marce? Id te delectat? Why do you beat Julia, Marcus? Does that delight you? Marcus. Julia male cantat, pater. Julia sings poorly, father. Julius baculum sumit, et nunc te punio. So here he's saying, now I punish you. Increase. Marque, quia, puellas verberare non licet. And remember, licet is one of those impersonal verbs that means it is allowed or it is permitted. So non licet means it is not permitted. So he's saying, Marcus, it is not permitted verberare puellas, to beat girls. Libros autem verberare licet, but it is permitted to beat children, because he's their father, I suppose. And he's very much in the camp of being pro corporal punishment, as you well know from Familia Romana. Marcus magna voce clamat et fugit. So he shouts with a loud voice and he flees. So there we have it. There's the exercise. Remember to ask yourself, who is speaking? Are they speaking for themselves, in which case they're speaking in first person? Are they addressing someone and asking someone else a question, in which case it's second person? Or is it a narration of some person or event, and in which case that's going to be in third person? If you have any more questions about this exercise or about how to review and how to use these verb endings, please reach out to me. Have a wonderful evening.